Hey guys, SickMotion here with the patch 5.13 notes here. Quite a long patch, a lot of changes, so I'll try and rifle through this as quickly as possible so it's not a 2-hour video. Skip all this wall of text. Recap screen, as I call it. The death recap screen was so inaccurate and so unreliable that I just looked at it for jokes more than actual information. Hopefully there's a bunch of bugs that have been fixed with it according to this. That's actually super exciting, so hopefully that works. Um, the recoded line projectile skill shots, I think this is just saying that this works for all regions now. The slow stacking here, pretty big change that slows no longer will kind of stack with each other to make you super slow. It'll just take um, the most potent slow, and that will be the one. So if you apply a slow that's weaker than the slow that's already on them, it won't slow them anymore. It'll just keep slowing for the same speed that they're already slowed. So it's kind of similar to CC now that you're going to want to not stack them, but space them, your slows on them, which kind of leads into the Rylai's change, which the Rylai's is super really strong now, but not as strong as it would have been if they didn't put the slow stacking thing here. Um, Tom, new champion, coming out later on here. I played him on the PBE a while back. A lot of cool mechanics with him. A lot of debate whether he'd be better top lane, support. Some people think he'll be a jungler. It'll be interesting to see where he kind of shows up because although you can get the champion mechanics, you can't really find a competitive base point as well when you're playing on the PBE. Let's see here. Echo. Um, Attack frame slightly improved. Recommended items updated. Not much change there. Jace had a bug where he was getting his R bonuses a level earlier at all levels 5, 15, or 5, 10, and 15 rather than the normal. So that's fixed. Kalista, pretty big changes here. Her base attack ratio is 0.9. She's the only champion that has that. It's weird. Weird to think of it now. Her base attack damage up, base attack gross stat up slightly, but keeping in mind that she lost a 0.1 AD ratio on her auto attack. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm reading it as. If I'm wrong, then I'm dumb. But pretty sure that's what it is. That's kind of weird. Weird kind of way to go with that, I think. We'll see how that goes. You can no longer throw Q mid-dash either. So no more fadeaways or dive Qs. This change to Kale, it's hard to tell exactly. It says basically Kale's attacks will now deal half of her Righteous Fury when it's not active. And it got an increased ability power ratio. However, I'm not sure if that means, well, it's not active being, it's not on cooldown but not active, or if it will actually give you this auto attack damage even if E's on cooldown. If it gives you it even when E's on cooldown, that's a pretty big buff. If it gives it to you only when it's off cooldown, your E, you're pretty much turning it on cooldown anyway if you're going to be trying to hit anything important. So it really depends on how that works. But if it works, like I said, when it's off cooldown, or when it's on cooldown, sorry, that's going to be pretty strong. I'm interested in trying that. Bug fix with Kennen that sometimes your electrical surge wouldn't apply Mark of the Storm while you were in your ult, and also a tooltip fix there. So that bug right there might help Kennen a little bit. Nothing, I guess I shouldn't say overly game breaking because that kind of was game breaking if you didn't get the stun off. But no number buffs here, just a bug fix. Nautilus, overall Riptide damage down slightly because it was quite a lot. Unburrow knock-up radius on Rek'Sai down 40, so I think that's a good change. Rek'Sai kind of does everything, so doesn't need to do everything and then have everything she does be super powerful as well. Big change to Singed here. Gains scaling magic resist per level growth stat and higher base magic resist at that. Root duration on the fling will now scale rather than 1 second at all ranks. Will go up to 2 seconds root if you fling them into the adhesive, which is cool because it's not a guaranteed root. It's depending on the skill of the player and depending on how you set that up. So I think it should be more rewarded. So that's cool that it's a 2 second root there. And now will laugh whenever he flings an enemy. That's awesome. Super buff there. Bug fix with Skarner. I didn't even realize this bug here was here, and I play a lot of Skarner. Can no longer be used on towers when canceling an auto attack on the passive's primary target. So I didn't know you could do it, and now you definitely can anymore anyway. Bunch of kind of detection and bug fixes with Syndra's E and R. Gets into the specifics here, but that's basically what they are. So if you want to check those out, they're in the patch there. Fix the bug where souls would appear to fly to Thresh from extreme distances. Kind of just a visual fix, I guess. Scuttle Crab now has a soul, so that's kind of funny. Lantern does now not despawn while Thresh is mid-flight towards the death sentence target, so it's easier to get those super journeys. This is going to be kind of cool. I'm sure it has a cap, because Vigar's Q has no cap, so his ability power has no cap. If it doesn't, then you can expect a YouTube video of someone farming a Veigar Q for about 3 days to get an ult the size of your screen or the map or whatever. But the our missile size now scales with his ability power, so that'll just be visually cool. Xin Zhao's ability power ratio on W for AP Xin Zhao got nerfed because of the Devour. Sated Devour, or it would have been way too strong. You can no longer rewind while both Zillion's Q and E are off cooldown, because those are the only things you can rewind. You can no longer rewind the ult, so why would you be able to waste that skill? That's kind of just a quality of life fix. Bit of bug fixes for Pulsefire Ezreal. So here's one of the first big changes, the Devourer. Basically, once it gets sated, it's called a Sated Devourer. Once it gets fully stacked, kind of think of like the old Pharaoh Flare. It gets a special effect once you've max stacked it. It promotes farming, but not farming for the rest of the game because it doesn't stack infinitely like it did before. Once it is fully stacked, every other basic attack triggers on hit effects twice. That includes things like Jax's ult. Even if you're hitting and it's not the third proc for the damage, there's a couple other champions that have every so many auto attacks does bonus damage, so it'll apply to them as well. But even if you're not proccing it, you're still getting closer to the next proc, which is something that you do on hit. So say you hit with Jax, now you're at 1 stack of your ult and you have this item. You hit again, it double procs, so you get your second proc and then your third proc, which also does the damage. So basically, Jax will be able to proc his ult damage every 2 hits rather than 3. Aatrox his W, Udyr, Vayne if you have a Vayne jungle for whatever reason, Gnar, things like that. So a lot of cool things that can go with it. Yi, Shyvana, a lot of strength there. And it tells you different amount of stacks per kill thing. I'm kind of confused here. One thing that's nice is epic monsters like a dragon or a baron will get you 5 stacks, so there's emphasis on getting those if you're stacking, because you'll just stack quicker and get stronger quicker. But right here, large monsters give 1 kill per stack, or sorry, 1 stack per takedown, kill or assist, so if you're handing off the blue, you'll still get a stack. And Rift Scuttle gives 2. However, when I looked at it in game, it was the opposite, and it said Scuttle gave 1, and all the other large monsters gave 2. So I'm not exactly sure which one is correct. One of them is incorrect, obviously. I'm not sure which one it is. If this one is incorrect and it is 2 stacks per large monster, it'll stack very quickly. So I'm not exactly sure though. I'll have to wait and see. Ability power ratio went up. Base AD went up, so it just does more damage. Fixed a bug where Runeglaive was applying spell effects on the Runeglaive proc. So that's fixed now. Righteous Glory, health down by 100, cooldown up by 50% from 60 to 90, so might not be seeing that every game anymore. Pretty big change, pretty big buff to Spirit Visage. 20% to self-healing, 20% to all healing. So now if you have a Soraka, or you have a Nidalee, you have someone just giving you heals, you'll get 20% more. So just straight buff to it, and pretty cool buff. Now it fills its role even better. Here's a second big wave of changes. AP items all got changed. Blasting Wand now costs 10 less. Rejoice. This is the nice one. Needlessly large rods. There's a bunch of recipe changes later on, but needlessly large rod now costs $12.50. Still in proportion proportion with how much AP it gives, because it now gives 20 less to 60. But it's going to be less painful waiting out that 1600 gold if that's what you're building for an item. And I agree with their description here, where most AP champions, kind of rather than looking for utility, would just be building the needlessly large rods and then deciding what needlessly large rod item they wanted for that 120 AP. So they've really kind of tapered them around so you can pick what you want to pick and not just pick the most efficient thing every single time, because you just feel dumb if you didn't build it, even though you're building like a death cap, or you're like, man, I really wanted like a Leandri's. So lot of power shifting around in here. Death Cap now costs more, different build path, same ability power, but has 5% more ability power bonus. So there's that. However, lots of the other stuff got that their ability power is nerfed, so that 5% bonus is still probably going to feel the same, since all the other items are giving you less ability power anyway. It'll be relatively close, I think. Just ballpark. Zonya's now costs 300 less, gives 20 ability power less. So it kind of, you buy it if you want the effect rather than all that free AP. Luden, the same thing, costs 300 less, 20 ability power less, but now gives you 10% movement speed rather than 7, so a little bit more utility in that. Really big change here, Rylai's. 3,000 cost goes up 100. Ability power is the same. Health is the same. The slow changes, also the recipe changes, the Giant's Belt, Needlessly Large Rod, and an Amp Tomb, so that's cool. But the single target slow went from 35 to 40%, and the area of effect slow went from 15 to 40%. So it's applying a 40% slow for area of effect. So going back to slow stacking, for Rumble, we'll use Rumble as an example. Rumble's E applies a slow. It won't apply a super slow with a Rylai's anymore. However, if you miss those E's or they're behind minions and you press flame, they will now be slowed for 40% from that flame. So they're going to eat that entire flamethrower. I think it's just going to be crazy on Rumble. That's just like my first impression, and a lot of other champions, obviously, but I'm just using Rumble as the example. Damage over time and multi-hit is now 20% slow for 1 second rather than 15 per 1.5, so relatively the same. Minions, summoned ones, like Mordekaiser R, Annie R, will now slow for 20% on their hit as well. New particle added, all of that. But man, that area of effect slow is just going to be crazy. Archangels, new build path, 20 more ability power, costs 300 more. Seraphs obviously has the same thing because it just transforms from that. Bit of balancing tweak on Rod of Ages. Cost 100 less, gives you 150 base health less, so that's going to hurt some champions. The base mana is a bit less, but you get more mana from it. So you get an additional 200 mana from it. Lost 50 here, so 150 mana more, I think, just looking at it. And you actually get more AP from it now as well. You get 20 more AP. Just less health. Hunting Guys now doesn't cost that painful amount. It's cost 1,500. So if you're paying 20 more gold for the OCD of even numbers rather than that weird number. Leandri's has a new build path, which is less painful. Hunting Guys plus a blasting one plus less money to combine it. Now gives 30 more AP. Cost 100 gold more for 30 more AP. Extreme value here. It's a blowout. It's a fire sale on Leandri's. So Rumble builds a Leandri's almost every game. Gonna be insane. This is like 2 buffs to Rumble. I think Rumble's just gonna be like just huge power. Void Staff costs a bit more, gives 10 more AP. Nashers costs 80 more, nice round number. 10 less attack speed, 20 more AP, so kind of does its AP-ness better. But that was awkward how I said that, my bad. But also, Nashers is kind of just a big investment for what it does. It's kind of a win more item, and I think it's, unless it's on a very specific champion, it's hard to make work. Another huge change here, Will of the Ancients. No longer gives direct spell vamp, but makes your abilities heal for you for 15% of the damage dealt calculated before the opponent's resistances. 33% effect for AoE. So that's gonna make Vlad feel pretty unhealthy, I'm assuming. Like Cassio maybe, if you built it on her. Anyone that you're building it on, if you're hitting like a super huge tank, you might not be killing them quickly, but you'll still be healing for a lot if you don't have that magic pen to make you do that damage before that. Because before it would calculate on the actual damage done. So if you weren't doing much damage, you needed spell pen to make your spell vamp work well. But now it just kind of works on its own, which is pretty crazy. Just works on its with itself and more damage more than anything. Morella Nomicon and Athene's had their recipes tweaked a little bit, so it's less painful. You're not saving up a bunch of gold at the end. You can buy that amp tomb. You still get the same effect at the end, same price, same stats, but you can get a little bit more stats as you're building to those items. Turrets, base health decreased. This is Twisted Treeline. We need to cut this off. Let's pause here. So ton of huge changes to the AP items. Some pretty big ones, and it's going to take a while to get used to them, obviously, because the other ones were in there for so long. But I think Rylai's and those who can get away with building a Leandri's are going to be pretty strong right now. Turrets, outer turrets, less health. Inner turrets, less health. Inhibitor turret, less health on Twisted Treeline. So it's probably just going to promote the crappy take an 80 and a support and push till your eyeballs fall out comp, which is kind of boring, I find, but it's a rant for another day. Needlessly Large Rod is now on Twisted Treeline because it's a little bit cheaper. It's no longer unrealistic to save for in the fast-paced game, so the build path on Wooglitz has changed. Crystal Scar, if anyone cares, something happened there. Let's go on. Visual effects updates round 2, so Rumble got changed here too. So when I'm playing Rumble with those new items, I'll get to see the new changes, but a couple other champions got changed there as well. A couple bug fixes here if you want to check those out. And Gentleman Gnar. Fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful or useful, be sure to check out the other videos as well, and sub to the channel. For more stuff like this in the future. My social media, as well as my stream, which is kind of my main thing, YouTube just kind of a side thing, are underneath the video here if you want to check that out in the description. But other than that, thank you for watching. Take it easy, guys, and we'll see you next time.